Welcome to Gear Talk. In today's episode, the third in our series on 1 Samuel, Brian Verrett finishes looking back to Genesis. Picking up from our previous podcast, we learned that the Pentateuch does more than just present Adam as a priest, a king, and a failure. The Pentateuch also anticipates that the promised seed of the woman will be a final Adam who will fix what Adam's sin broke. Because of this anticipation, and the Pentateuch and other books, 1 and 2 Samuel hopes for a new Adam and a priest-king who will defeat the serpent.
Welcome back to Gear Talk. This is Brian Verrett, and today we continue our podcast series through Samuel. This is our third entry in that series. Our aim is that you would understand that Samuel is about Jesus, the priest king, who will defeat the serpent and lead God's people into a new creation. That Jesus is our Messiah and priest king who will defeat the serpent and lead God's people into a new creation. That's what I think 1 and 2 Samuel is about. That's what I think the author was trying to say when he wrote his book. And so, to understand what he's trying to say, we have to make sure we're all on the same page. He assumes that you know certain things, and so we want to be on the same page with him by thinking the same thoughts that he is thinking. That's why in the second episode, we went back into Genesis and we looked at Adam and Eve. The author of Samuel wouldn't be hoping for a priest king who will succeed over the serpent unless there probably had been a priest king who failed to resist the serpent. And so in Genesis, in episode 2, we looked back into the Bible and saw that Adam was a priest, and Adam was a king, and Adam was a failure. Instead of ruling over the animals of the field, he let an animal rule over him as he submitted to the serpent by listening to the voice of his wife. And in our podcast today, we will see that Genesis and the Pentateuch, it does more than just describe Adam's failure as a priest king. It anticipates that a new Adam, and that's the key for today's podcast, a new Adam will fix what Adam, the old Adam, and his sin broke. That a new Adam will fix what the old Adam's sin broke. And it's because the Pentateuch is hoping in this new Adam to come, who will defeat the serpent. It's because the Pentateuch is hoping in him that Samuel won't stop talking about him, that Samuel's so excited about his arrival and his victory. So join us today as we learn about how does the Pentateuch get us excited for this new Adam to come. So to understand how you can have a new Adam, we just need to stop and just think a little bit about what do we mean when we say somebody is a new Adam. Paul talks this way, so it's not just me. You can read in 1 Corinthians 15:45, it says, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam, that's Jesus, became a life-giving spirit. Or in 1 Corinthians 15:22, for as in Adam all die, so in Christ shall all be made alive. Or in Romans chapter 5, Paul says in verse 14, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over those whose sinning was not like the transgression of Adam, who was a type of the one who was to come. Adam is a type or a pattern or an example of Jesus, the one who was to come. Jesus is a new Adam. But what do we mean when we say someone is a new Adam exactly? Notice Paul called Jesus the last Adam. There's the first one, Adam, and then there's the last Adam. That's Jesus. And there's other Adams, presumably in between, a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth. That's probably why he calls Jesus the last Adam, not just the second Adam. And so how does someone become a new Adam? And I think we're actually in a pretty good place culturally right now to understand what that means. So, for example, I've noticed that there are lots of movies coming out right now that are remakes. They are repeats of old movies. I guess they're successful because Disney and other companies keep making movies like this. So, for example, they came out with the new Beauty and the Beast. And, of course, you can't have a new Beauty and the Beast unless you have a new Beauty, Belle, and a new Beast, and even a new Gaston, and a new LeFou, and a new Lumiere, and a new Cogsworth, and all these characters. You have to repeat the character if the story is going to be repeated as well. So, in the first Beauty and the Beast, the actress who voiced Belle was Paige O'Hara. And in the new Beauty and the Beast, the actress playing Belle is Emma Watson. I haven't seen this new movie, but from what I understand, Emma Watson is replaying the same role that Paige O'Hara played originally, of a young lady who feels like an outsider not fitting in her poor provincial town. And she winds up, for the sake of her father, in a dark, cursed castle with a beast. But eventually they fall in love at the last moment, and a curse is broken over the castle, and all things are made new. Emma Watson is replaying the same role that Paige O'Hara played. And so Emma Watson is the new Belle. And that's what we would say. Did you like the new Belle in that movie? Or about Superman. I feel like they're always coming out with Superman or Batman and Spider-Man movies. Like, who's the new Spider-Man? Is it this actor, or is it that actor, or is it that actor? And there's all these new Spider-Men or new Batmen because they replay the story that has already been performed. So like with Superman, I think the first Superman maybe in movies was Christopher Reeves. And there's been lots of other people who replay the story of Superman. And I think the most recent was Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill replays the basic story of Superman, of somebody who is not from Earth, and so they come to Earth and they have all these powers, and with these powers they seek to do good and save the Earth from evil people. He just replays the story, and since he replays the same exact basic story that other men have played before him, we say Henry Cavill is the new Superman. Or what about Aladdin? Robin Williams was the genie in the animated movie Aladdin, and now Will Smith was the genie in the more recent movie Aladdin. We would say Will Smith is the new genie because he replays the story of the first genie. So we'd call him the new genie. He's the new genie, and Robin Williams is the old genie. And this idea of being a new Adam or a new Moses or a new Joshua or a lot of these new characters is all throughout the Bible because of the same exact reason. Somebody will replay the role of a former character. And that's exactly what Noah does. Noah replays the story, true story, but replays the story of Adam. That's what Noah does. And so I'm going to tell you a couple stories, just kind of at the same time, and you'll hear how similar they are. Here's Adam's story and Noah's story together. In the beginning, there was no place for humans to live because the earth was formless and void, and the surface of the deep was covering the earth. There's just deep waters everywhere. And with Noah, there was no place for him to live either, because God had flooded the earth, and the earth was completely covered in waters. But in the beginning, God's Spirit was hovering over the waters. And God made a place for Noah to live because his wind, same word in Hebrew, wind was blowing over the waters. And so finally God made dry ground on the third day come up out from the waters so that Adam could live, just like God made dry ground come up out of the waters when the flood waters receded, so Noah and his family could finally have a place to live on dry ground. Once God made Adam, and Adam was safely living on the dry ground, God made Adam in his image, and he blessed Adam and told Adam to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And he told Adam what foods he can and can't eat. He told to Adam, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food." And he also told Adam what foods he can't eat. He said, if it's a leafy green plant, don't eat that. That's for the animals. Then, on the flip side, you get Noah. God blessed Noah and told him to be fruitful and multiply. And he talked to Noah about God's image as well. He told Noah that man must not murder because man is made in God's image. This is all in chapter 9 now of Genesis. And he told Noah about what food he can and can't eat. And he tells Noah that now he can eat animals, but he may not eat the blood. And speaking of being fruitful and multiplying, Adam had 3 sons, did he not? Cain, Abel, and Seth. And it's through Adam and these sons that all of humanity was to be born. And that's very similar to how Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and how all of humanity has come from these 3 sons, is it not? But eventually things go south for both Adam and Noah. Adam eats the forbidden fruit and experiences this awful, shameful nakedness. And when God investigates the situation, he looks at the serpent and he says, "Cursed are you," because the serpent was instrumental in bringing about the shameful nakedness. And, likewise, Noah is not in a garden per se, but he is in a fruitful vineyard. And in that fruitful vineyard, he takes of the fruit of the vine, very much like Adam took of the fruit of the tree. And Noah experiences a shameful nakedness. And it has something to do with Ham and Canaan. And when Noah awakes, he says to Canaan, "Cursed are you." Of course, there's little details that are different between Noah's story and Adam's story. Of course, one detail that's different is Noah is Noah, right? Certainly, there's differences in the details, but it is more or less the same story. And because Noah is replaying Adam's story, you can think of Noah as a new Adam, just like you would think of Robin Williams as the first genie and Will Smith as the new genie. Adam is the first Adam, and Noah is the second Adam. But there's something else that we need to see about Noah. And it's not that he's just a new Adam. Not that you're just supposed to connect him to Adam. And it's not just Noah and Adam as well. Noah is like Adam, so you connect Noah to Adam. And you think about, what is Noah? How is Noah like Adam? But there's other things you're supposed to think about too. Like, how does Noah's vineyard on a mountain relate to Adam's garden? How does Noah's sin relate to Adam's sin? How does Canaan getting cursed? How is he connected to the serpent being cursed? But we're just going to focus today on Adam and Noah. So Noah is this new Adam. That's what the story is trying to get you to do by replaying the story of Adam. It's trying to get you to realize that Noah is like this new Adam figure. Maybe he can be the man who has children and God's blessing will flow through this man and fill the earth. Maybe he is the one who will do and bring God's blessing to the world. But you're also supposed to wonder if Noah is the seed of the woman. You remember when Adam sinned in Genesis? He sinned, and God showed up, and God said in Genesis 3:15, he told us who the hope of the world would be. "I will put enmity between you and the woman," he says to the serpent, "and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise or crush or damage her head, and you shall bruise or crush or damage his heel." This is Jesus. This is Jesus, the one who will defeat the devil, defeat the snake, upend evil, and bring about a new creation. But at first, you're not so sure if it's Jesus or who it is. At first, you're just left wondering. It's just a mystery at first. This verse that God tells the serpent isn't here to exactly tell you who the seed of the woman is. It's here to raise the question, to get you wondering, who will the seed of the woman be? And the first person you think it might be is Noah. Because remember, the seed of the woman has come to make all things right and to defeat evil. And part of making all things right would be to fix the world. God told Adam, because you have listened to the voice of your wife and eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you. And you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the dust. For out of it you were taken, for you are dust, and to dust you shall return. The picture is that because of Adam's sin, God needed to punish Adam. Adam walked out of God's blessing and walked into the area of curse. And in the area of curse, he receives this punishment from God. Adam, because you sinned, the world will now cooperate with you. The ground will not cooperate with you. Instead of life-giving, easy, joyful, blessed work, now your work will be hard. The world will not produce crops for you. Your life will be filled with painful toil. With your hands, you will have to dig in the earth, and sweat will be pouring off your face and nose the whole time you're doing it, because the ground is cursed. But when Noah is born, hear what Lamech says, his father. Genesis 5:28 and 29. This is what Lamech, Noah's father, says. When Lamech had lived 122 years, he fathered a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, out of the ground that the Lord has cursed, this one, my son Noah, shall bring us relief from our work and from the painful toil of our hands. Lamech is hoping that Noah is the one who will make all things right. Lamech is hoping that Noah is the seed of the woman. And so we have to wonder, is he? Is he going to make all things right? So Genesis is getting us to think about Noah in two different ways. First, Noah is like a new Adam because he replays the story of Adam. And second, Noah is like the seed of the woman who we are hoping will come along and one day heal the ground and remove the curse on the ground so that our work will not be so painful, our toil will not be so difficult. Those are the two things, seed of the woman and new Adam. Seed of the woman and new Adam. And now we take a step back and we just ask, why does the Bible want to compare Noah to Adam and to the seed of the woman? Why does the Bible want to compare Noah to Adam and the seed of the woman? Why does Noah look like Adam, and why does Noah look like the seed of the woman? You look at Noah, and you look at him, and you go, you look familiar. You look like Adam. And you look at Noah, and you say, wow, you look familiar. You look like the seed of the woman. Why would it do that? Well, one reason it would do that is because it's trying to get you to make a connection. Maybe the seed of the woman is the new Adam. Noah looks like Adam, and Noah looks like the seed of the woman, the offspring of the woman, the promised son who will make all things right. Noah looks like Adam and the seed of the woman, maybe because the author's trying to get you to connect the seed of the woman and the new Adam. The seed of the woman will be the new and the last Adam. Give you an example. Imagine if you were looking at triplets. Let's say you're looking at Timmy, Tommy, and Bobby. I don't know. Just making these names up. Timmy, Tommy, and Bobby. And they're lined up in a row. 3 triplet brothers. And Tommy's in the middle. Timmy, Tommy, and Bobby. And you just look at Tommy. You're staring at Tommy. And then you look at Timmy to his right. And you go, wow. Tommy looks like Timmy. And then you look at Bobby to Tommy's left. And you go, wow, Tommy looks like Bobby. You're looking at these three triplets, and because Tommy looks like Timmy and Tommy looks like Bobby, you know that Timmy and Bobby look the same, don't you? If they're triplets and the one in the middle looks like the two on the edge, then the two on the edge look the same, naturally. That's exactly what's happening here in our story. Noah is like triplet Noah. When you look at Noah, you see Noah. But Noah looks like the seed of the woman. And Noah looks like this new Adam. And so you know that the seed of the woman and the new Adam must look the same. That's what's going on here. We are waiting on this new Adam to come. He will be the seed of the woman, and he will make all things right. But Noah is not ultimately him. Noah sins like the first Adam did. Instead of taking the fruit of the tree, he takes the fruit of the vine. And instead of eating the fruit of the tree and getting shameful nakedness, he eats from the fruit of the vine and has shameful nakedness. Noah is not the one we are waiting for. He is the first Adam, but he is not the last Adam. And he is not the best Adam either. Noah is getting us to look forward to a new and better and final Adam by replaying the story of Adam and failing like the first Adam did. The new seed of the woman, the new Adam, will not give in to the serpent, but crush its head. He will resist the serpent rather than go along with its plan. And that is not what Adam did. That is not what Noah did. And this pattern of having people replay the story of Adam and fail happens over and over and over again throughout the Bible. Just give you an example here. Think about Joshua in the book of Joshua. Just like Adam, Joshua can't live in the good land because there's waters stopping him from living there. God couldn't make Adam and let him live in the good land because the whole world was flooded. And Joshua can't go into the good land, the promised land, and live there because of the Jordan River. The waters are keeping these people from living in the good land. But God finally takes care of the water situation, and they're living in the good land. Adam's in the garden, Joshua in the promised land. But there's a crafty, tempting enemy waiting there. For Adam, it's the serpent. For Joshua, it's the Canaanites, as they tempt Israel with their false gods. And then there's this one story in particular about the Gibeonites in the book of Joshua. I wonder if you remember that story. It's in Joshua chapter 9. It's that story where Joshua and his friends, or not so much his friends, his people under him, the Israelites, Joshua and those under him have gone into the promised land, and they've had some successful battles. They've already defeated Jericho. They've already defeated Ai. And all the nations are very concerned. And so one group of people, the Gibeonites, says, hey, if you can't beat them, join them, right? And so instead of fighting Israel, which they would have, if they could have, they just knew they wouldn't win. They would gladly have killed the Israelites. But they couldn't and win. And so instead of fighting them, they came up with a sneaky plan where they dressed like they were from far away. And they came and they said, we are not your neighbors. We are from far away. Even though they weren't. See how our water jugs are all worn out and our sandals are broken and our bread is dried out and crumbly. We need food, we need water, we need clothing. Please make a covenant with us and be our allies. This story is so much like the serpent in Genesis. It's shaped the same way. hear Adam's story. Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made. Joshua 9:4. And the Gibeonites on their part acted with cunning and went and made ready provision and took worn out sacks for their donkeys and wineskins worn out and torn and mended. You have this crafty enemy. And then you have this conversation. And the conversation is with Eve and the serpent. And there's this long conversation between Joshua and the Gibeonites. And the end result of that conversation is that the people of God break the commandment. In Genesis, God had said, "But from every tree you may eat, except for the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat." And what had God told Joshua and Moses and the Israelites? You shall make no covenant with the Canaanites and their gods. So you have this crafty enemy who has a conversation, a sneaky conversation that gets the people of God to break his commandment. And then God shows up to the judgment scene in the garden and says, and Eve says to God, "The serpent deceived me and I ate." And Joshua figures out what has happened, and he tells the Gibeonites, "Why did you deceive us?" And so God says to the serpent, "Cursed are you above all livestock." And so Joshua says to the Gibeonites, "Now therefore you are cursed." They replay the story, but this time it's not Adam in the Adam story, it's Joshua in the Adam story. He's like Noah. He's a new Adam, but he's a failure. He's not the Adam we're waiting for. He's not the seed of the woman that we're waiting for. The Pentateuch, by replaying, and beyond the Pentateuch, by replaying the Adam story many times, I could give you many examples of this. But by replaying the Adam story, it lets you know that we are still waiting on the seed of the woman and the last Adam to come. We are waiting for the ultimate Adam to come, the great priest king, the one who resists the serpent and not corrupt creation, but restore creation. Noah was not this figure. Adam was not this figure. Joshua was not this figure. Cain is not this figure. Abraham is not this figure. The nation of Israel is not this figure. But the author of 1st and 2nd Samuel is waiting for this figure, this man to come. And when he comes, what will he do? He will be Jesus, the Messiah, the priest king, who will defeat the serpent and lead God's people into a new creation.
Thanks for listening to Gear Talk. We're launching a special podcast next week. On March 13th, we'll begin a month in the Psalms. This series of podcasts will include more than just conversations about the Psalms. We are also including downloadable artwork, allowing you to use these materials as an aid in your own preaching or teaching or small group setting.